Right now, it's skewed very heavily toward resolve. If I play my character at all, which is to say I use my abilities, that a player was right. If I don't take concessions, I'll have an empty sheet.
Mm-hmm.
That's not fun. It forces me to resolves. There's the interesting, the thematic difference between path and concession is washed out. If taking the resolve, if spending my resolve removes my essence and grit, was it grit damage? What's it called?
Yeah.
If it removes my grit and essence damage, and I've already rolled for my thresholds, right? We've already handled that. And if the number of abilities that exhaust it's not universal, right? That I exhaust my abilities all over the place. The features of my abilities, the cool shit, that I can do.
Mm-hmm.
If I spend resolve and I clear those points and I get those abilities back, that's fantastic. But if I didn't take that concession and I don't have the resolve to do this, I can still play. And I can get that saga to where I can improve. Right? I can get a new ability. I can get, various other things.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm saying is that both concessions and paths should be good. I should be able to keep playing.
Mm-hmm.
The way it is right now, if I don't take concessions, if I don't get resolve, I can't keep playing. I'm going to have an empty sheet.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to do it. And also, as long as you have the rest term in there, I can't get any benefit from the saga anyway unless I take a rest. So I do need the resolve.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just basically slammed toward concessions, slammed toward concessions, slammed toward concessions in order to play. So what I'm saying is just have taking the concession, have the mechanical effect you want. Recoveries.
Mm-hmm.
But should it be recoveries of being able to play my guy? No, it should be recoveries of damage. Done. Maybe there are some abilities that exhaust and need to be restored at that time, but it shouldn't be the default. I shouldn't have to recover the ability to, shoot well. Or, make a deal or something like that. If I'm a master of 1,000 houses or master of 100 houses and I forget what the precise ability is, but it has something to do with making a deal of some kind. And, is that, you should look at the abilities and say, all right, which one of these should really exhaust and which one of these should just be something I get. And I can play my guy doing that unto perpetuity, as long as I'm not too injured to act. Mm-hmm. So, first of all, these things are all interconnected. Hypothetically, let's go through all the things that you get through the things you've taken as your background and
mm-hmm.
decide which ones of them exhaust. And I can certainly see quite a few which should exhaust. They're really fucking powerful in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm.
And also look at the ones and say, wait a minute, those don't exhaust. Those are things that actually fit very nicely onto my sheet. My guy's a knife fighter. I'm going to be able to fight with a knife. I can always fall back on that stuff. Good. So now we made sort of two tiers, things that exhaust, things that don't. Now we go to our paths and concessions.
Mm-hmm.
I take a concession and I can recover my grit and my essence. Okay, that damage clears. That's great. Thank God. I do that. And abilities that I've exhausted come back. But that's okay because those were special abilities. I was okay with those being exhausted in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Fine. That's what resolve will do. Now over here, I didn't take the concession. I'm not going to do that. I'm still hurt, or potentially hurt, right? When more damage comes in, I'm going to be bumped further down those lists. And not only that, but abilities that I've exhausted aren't going to come back. So what's so good about taking a path? What's the point of improving something if I can't fucking use it anyway? So let's make that taking a path have, teeth. I took a path and I got this out of it. And it's not interplayed with the benefits or penalties of taking resolve. It's not, it's for one thing, I've, taken a path that's, quote, good for my guy, lucky, yay me, and I get Saga. What do I use Saga for? Can I get a new ability with it? Via arcade. I mean, it can be like resolve, right? You already have the thing where doing it, for one is one, doing it for another is two, doing it for another. You can have it be on the same scale. Is it about taking new abilities? That's not a bad idea, because when you take a new ability, it's not exhausted. And you have it. I mean, so is it that way? I mean, I think you really do need to think about what are the mechanical consequences of each, and have them both be good, have them be decoupled from each other, and be very different. Very different. I think that's a big deal, actually. And I've kind of tried to disentangle it from the twigs of that I think were represented by vices and stuff like that. So do you see what I mean about this general principle of trying to kind of detangle things? And the whole thing is just cleaner. If, I take concessions, then this is the way this is the way I play if I take lots of concessions. If I try to balance, that's cool too. If I take lots of paths, this is kind of the way the character goes. So I'm trying to stay true to your diagram and have it not be murky and full of crisscrossing bits.
Yeah, I got you. I see.
And I think you'll find that when you do this, Havoc itself will jump up as highly consequential, because that's where that damage is coming from. And it's in those circumstances that you're going to be using your abilities most.
Okay.
And so what I'm trying to do is bring Havoc into the center as, things are going to change. We're going to end up with injuries. We're going to end up with consequences. We're going to end up with reasons to take paths and concessions next. A condition, my character's in a condition in which I might consider paths a little bit more than I would ordinarily.
Yeah.
It's one of the secondary effects of the kind of recommendation I'm making, is that it makes your resolution more consequential for later decisions.
Okay.
And I think that's something that was a little hard for the players to see or feel, because the outcome of the Havoc situation was not really playing into. They were all concerned with resolve, rests, and recovery of abilities. That's what they were kind of obsessed with, because their abilities were vanishing. The one person wasn't letting their abilities vanish, but that's because they weren't using them. They couldn't bear to use them. Yeah, the one player's dodge was to not use their abilities so that they wouldn't feel the pressure to take rests, and so therefore they could pick paths. So do you see how that kind of decision making is not, I think, where you were aiming at?
Right.
You were aiming at role-playing paths versus concessions as a heartfelt thing, and then the results for it are enjoyable and acceptable. They're just different. That's
right.
We have to have the mechanics themselves not be a B.F. Skinner reward punishment mechanism. They can be consequences. Those consequences can be harsh. But that's different from punishing the player.
Okay.
It's something that we struggled with in the Forge, because people would see that we would have all kinds of reward mechanics, and they're like, oh, so that's what you want to like sort of keep leading the player to do. And it's like, no, they do it because it's fun, and the reward mechanics celebrate that. You take damage, and that means there's no punishment mechanics. Taking damage, having your character die, is the same thing. If your character enduring injury and travail and heartbreak and soul darkening isn't fun, doesn't come out of what they did, but is then treated as a punishment, saying, see, you shouldn't have done that, or you got unlucky, the dice screwed you, then it's no fun at all. Whereas you seem to have a game here where I would like to flirt with the darkness. I would like to flirt with it and see, or even have my character be really hosed and say, man, it's going to be really hard for this guy, this tragic figure burn man, to climb out of the depth that he's already sunk into. And that's why his character's vulnerability in terms of memories, plus the shared background in a conspiracy with another player character, is just gold. Right? I mean, play can be all about, paths can have all sorts of things. One of his paths that I recommended, although we didn't see it in play, was, because he was a former minstrel, was to encounter one of his old songs. Right? Stuff like that. So it's just golden for that.
Yeah.
So, but the point is that if he fucks it up, if too much essence damage and one bad bounce on the, on the soul darkening and stuff like that, tumbles him further down into the embrace. Cool. I'm okay with that. I don't feel I was punished. I knew that's where part of this character's zone is. And I might not be playing toward it, but I might play toward it once in a while by taking another concession. Or, I mean, and sorry, and if it goes badly for him, I'll say, shoot, there you go. There's your cautionary tale right there. There's, that's what the world is like. One of us can go down this way. One of us can fall. That can happen. But I don't feel as though I was punished for making a bad build in a game that screwed me, or was forced to do it because otherwise I would lose all my abilities and not be able to use them anymore.
Yeah.
So does that make sense? Reward mechanics are there to celebrate what's already fun. They're not there to create the fun. And in that sense, damage and character loss should be considered reward mechanics. Because if you're, and D&D actually knew this in the better designs of D&D, of which there are many designs of D&D. In the better designs of D&D, being low on hit points meant you made different decisions from when you were high on hit points. And that's fun. You didn't mind being low on hit points. You might be stressed a little or tense about the outcome, but you said, now my decisions matter. Now it's on. You like being down there. You're like, okay, I've only got our party has 2 healing spells left. There's 6 of us. 4 of us are wounded. Our map is dodgy. We're not sure about that fucking bend in the map, right? We had to guess. We've reached the point where I think we're pretty much ready to turn around and try to get out of here. Now, who of us gets healed? I'm playing the cleric. Who am I going to heal? And whatever choice I make is going to play into what happens next in the next fight. We're not looking for a fight anymore. So we're just, we're gritting our teeth over that wandering monster roll on our way out. And God help us if we make the wrong choice at that one dodgy turn, relying on this map, which you made, moron. Here we go. Now it's cool that we're low on hit points. Do you see? It's not something that we were like whining and bitching about. We knew that taking a few axe blows along the way or overextending ourselves and picking a fight with those ogres, we knew we were going to be getting to this point. Cool. Rock and roll. Now it's on.